Good morning, everybody. It's September 1st, and today we're going to talk about Geode's RESTful interface. So REST stands for Representational State Transfer, and it was invented by this guy, Roy Fielding. It is sometimes called the HTTP object model, and basically just gives us some kind of predefined methods that we can send in our HTTP messages. Most of the time it's get, post, put, and delete, and there's some other CRUD operations in there. But it's basically how the entire internet works, and it's a pretty great way to get started with Geode. So there's no example for this in the Geode examples repo that we've been working out of most of the time. So I'm just going to show how to do this. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to spin up a locator using gfish, and we're going to spin up a server. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start a locator. Let's give it a name, and we're going to pass a bind address, and I'm just going to tell it to bind a local host. So as that starts up, next thing we're doing, we're going to start a server, and this is we're going to have to pass in a few parameters to tell the server, hey, start up it spins up a Jetty server, and that is what we interact with when we pass when we send our messages. So there's a few limitations here, and that we're not going to get the single hop capabilities that we're going to get with the other clients like the C++, Java, or .NET clients. This is all going to just, we're talking directly to a server, so we're not going to get that single hop. So there's a little bit of latency there, and because it's not a binary protocol we're talking over, we're using HTTP, that kind of the serialization that needs to happen causes some overhead. But for any workloads that have kind of the human in the loop type of thing, where you're waiting on a user to have an interaction, the latency isn't too bad. So that has spun up. Let's now start a locator. We're going to have to pass a few things. So let's start a server. Let's give it a name, server1, and let's tell it where our locator is. It's at localhost, and I think we just use the default port. Okay, and then we're gonna tell it to start the REST API, and let's say just gotta say that's true. We're gonna give it a HTTP service bind address, make a local host, and then we're gonna say HTTP service port, and let's make this 3002. Random. Let's start that up. Then once that's going, we're going to go over here, and we are going to use something called Swagger, which allows us to browse this API and interact with it. There are other great tools out there like Postman that we can use to interact, and that's awesome for development and kind of exploring APIs. This allows us to do something really similar, and what's cool is that we can actually kind of learn the API this way. So this will take us, did we get that right? Let's see if that's spun up. Did we get that? Oh, wrong port. Boom. So you can see here that there are function APIs, query APIs, and region operations. So all of these methods are available to us, and it describes the actual API. So first thing we're going to do, let's create a region, and we'll name that region customers, and let's give it a type, and let's just call it let's make it a replicated region. Cool. So has some members, and we have some regions. So if we go up here, let's put some data. So we'll create an entry, and we can try out this API. So customer, let's make the key, let's just say every customer has like a ID. So 44, and let's pass it some JSON. So let's say that this customer has a name, and their name is Foo, and they have an email, and it's foo@bard.com. Sounds good. That looks like valid JSON to me, and we're going to execute this. So you can see, with curl, this is what we sent. So we sent to that API with the key 44 JSON, and there is our JSON that we sent over, and the region identified the customer. Oh, because I forgot the S. So you can see we actually got a 404 because we messed up. So let's execute. Cool. So we got 201 back. Now let's see if that data is actually there, and we can do this since we know the key. It's always best practice to we'll get it directly. So we can do get and region equals customers, and the key is 44. And there it is. We just used REST to send data to our server, and we could do a whole bunch of other stuff. We could delete. We can get that object back, so we can go over here, region customers, and we know the key, and execute, and the response back is right there. So in JSON, we got the object back. Pretty simple. Hope you enjoy the episode. I'll talk to you next week.